Donald Trump needs to be impeached and removed from office. And I know many of you are thinking, well, that's never going to happen, so we shouldn't even waste our time talking about it. Well, I'm not going to take that defeatist attitude, because there are a lot of things that have happened over the last several years, including that are happening every single day, that nobody ever thought would happen. And a lot of those things aren't even legal or constitutional. Impeaching and removing Donald Trump is not only legal and constitutional, but it is compelled by our system of government. Impeachment and removal is exactly the constitutional remedy that was specifically put into the Constitution to deal with someone exactly like Donald Trump. Our system was developed with somebody like Donald Trump in mind. Donald Trump is not an unanticipated figure by those who drafted the Constitution. They knew that someone like Donald Trump would come along, and they gave us the tools for dealing with him, for removing him from office. Now, our big problem, obviously, is that the Republican Party is nothing more than a cult of personality in service of Donald Trump. So getting any of them to go along with impeaching and removing him seems like an impossibility. And right now, it is. But I'm not talking about impeaching him and removing him right now. I'm talking about doing it in about 2 years from now, after the midterm elections. And things could look much, much different by then. I mean, astonishingly different. 2 years from now, this country is going to be such a colossal mess. After 2 years of Donald Trump absolutely destroying our economy and wreaking havoc worldwide, which is what he is doing. And so this country is going to be on fire in 2 years. And it's all going to be Donald Trump's fault. And while the people who make up his cult, the 20, maybe 30% of the country who constitute his cult following, while they may never wake up and never oppose Donald Trump, remember, Donald Trump did not get elected with the cult alone. There are a lot of people who voted for him really for the price of eggs and groceries, and just because they're so breathtakingly stupid. But when their lives are not improved in the next 2 years, and when they are in fact made dramatically worse because of Donald Trump, things are going to look a lot different. And if we do our job over the next 2 years of persuading as many Americans as possible to turn against this fascist piece of garbage, then we could win a huge victory in the midterm elections. And so Democrats can control both houses of Congress 2 years from now. And in 2 years from now, immediately after the midterms, the presidential election is going to start. And there will be Republicans running for the Republican nomination for president. And I know some of you worry that Donald Trump will never leave, that he's going to run for a third term or declare himself king and never leave. That's theoretically possible, but it's not going to happen. Donald Trump is going to be so unpopular in 2 years, no one's even going to be talking about that. Okay? As I said, things are going to look a lot different in 2 years than they do right now. And the Constitution is not going to be changed to allow him to run for a third term. And there is no court, including this Supreme Court, who is going to say that the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution somehow allows Donald Trump to run for a third term. It's not going to happen. And as I said, he's going to be so unpopular by 2 years from now, no one's going to be talking about this man running for re-election. Okay? The Republicans are going to be desperate to move past Donald Trump, even if many of them won't admit it. But if we do our jobs over the next 2 years, and if things get bad enough, as I believe they will, Republicans are going to start moving on from Donald Trump. Whether they actively oppose him, outspokenly oppose him, I don't know. But they're going to be desperate to move on from Donald Trump because they will have just gotten their asses kicked in the midterm elections. It will be starting to dawn on even the cult that Trump's time is almost at an end, that he will not be, on the ballot again in 2028. He is not going to be president again. And they're going to have to move on and pick a new nominee. And that is going to begin to rip the Republican Party in half, because Trump is not going to just let them move on from him. He's not going to let them nominate his successor and start giving that person attention. So a whole bunch of dynamics are going to be at play 2 years from now. But the most important is Trump is going to be so wildly unpopular in this country because of the damage that he did, and because we are going to aggressively try to convince our fellow Americans what a mistake they made in voting for this guy. And he's going to do a lot of the work for us, because he's going to be spending his time golfing while the country is on fire. That's what's going to be happening. So 2 years from now, when we have control of both houses of Congress and Donald Trump's approval rating is in the toilet and the country is on fire, and we have a long list of crimes and constitutional violations that this man has committed in these next 2 years, we're going to have so many impeachable offenses at our disposal that we can use to impeach and remove this man from office. So we're going to have all of that. Don't tell me that it won't be possible to impeach him and remove him from office. And I promise you, if there was a secret ballot right now, there would be enough votes in the Senate to remove him from office. There would be enough votes in the House to impeach him, because it's almost a tie in the House right now. And there's a good handful of Republicans who, if it were a secret ballot, would vote to impeach him. And there are enough Republicans in the Senate right now, if it were a secret ballot, who would vote to remove him from office. Obviously, it's not a secret ballot. They have to go on the record. But 2 years from now, things are going to look so much different. The list of crimes, the constitutional violations. Hell, we might be headed towards World War III 2 years from now. We might be in the middle of World War III in 2 years from now, given what Donald Trump is doing right now, and emboldening Putin and selling out Ukraine and going to, rhetorical war against all of our allies and NATO. We're almost certainly going to be pulled out of NATO within 2 years. And I'm telling you, the world is going to look a lot different 2 years from now. And while it might not be easy to impeach and remove him from office, it might actually be easy. We don't know. But the world is going to look a lot different. And I don't think we should be giving up in advance. That needs to be our goal. That's why every day, your number one job, because you ask, what can we do? What can we do? Well, there's not a whole hell of a lot we can do to stop him right now or remove him from office. If we're going to do those things, we have to build public support, public opposition to Donald Trump. We have to turn as many of our fellow Americans against this man as possible. If we do that, all these other options become much more possible, including impeachment and removal. That is my goal. That's what I want to see happen, and it's definitely possible. Let us not give up. Let us not say in advance, oh, that could never happen. No, it could never happen right now. But it can happen in the future. And I think we need to work towards that. And Democrats in the midterm elections need to specifically run on impeachment so that when they win, and they will, they can legitimately claim a mandate to impeach and remove that piece of shit from office. That's what we need to do. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.